started right here. So my name is Maheen Sohail, and today we'll be talking about design in the era of artificial intelligence. And as we're going through this talk, if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the comment box. Please vote on each other's questions so that at the end of the session, I can prioritize which questions to answer, but we'll have 10 minutes, plenty of time to go through your questions. So in today's conversation, we will be covering how designers must learn to design with AI, for AI, and beyond AI. But a bit about myself. I'm a design lead and manager, so I do both roles at Meta in the generative AI team. And outside of work, I spend a lot of time in the water surfing. It brings me a lot of peace. It brings me a lot of joy. And I've had a very interesting career where I've been an early designer in 3 emerging technology spaces. I started my career in virtual reality. I spent a lot of time in augmented reality. And then I've spent about 5 years working in artificial intelligence. And the number one skill, please, if anyone has their mic unmuted, please mute it. Thank you so much. So the number one skill that has gotten me through these shifts is learning how to navigate and thrive in ambiguity. It's the number one skill that it doesn't matter which industry you're starting in, if you're starting in virtual reality or augmented reality, it's the number one skill that you could have to design for emerging technologies. So a bit about my journey. In 2016, I started in VR. Back then, the VR headsets were things like the Samsung Gear VR. And a lot of our time was spent building 360 immersive media experiences, enabling people to create and consume 360 photography. Even today, not a lot of people are consuming these experiences, but it shows you what happens when you're designing experiences ahead of their time. As the technology improved, we started building a lot of personalized experiences. So how can we leverage AI to generate avatars that look like you and then bring you into spaces with friends and family in VR? Again, spoiler alert, friends and family don't have virtual reality headsets, especially in 2017. So a lot of learnings came out of this experience. As the technology improved, we started leveraging AI to create self-expression in these virtual experiences. So, what are the ergonomics of like high-fiving each other and feeling that presence with each other to express yourself? So in around 2019, I shifted to the AI team at Meta, where we started building a lot of research models and trying to figure out with research scientists, what are the models they should be building for the future of experiences that we're consuming today. And so, for example, we were trying to figure out what would AI-powered glasses look like that are almost like AR glasses, but that more multimodal with audio input and output. We didn't have AR glasses back then, so I would strap these GoPros on my head and walk around all day and then try to build prototypes of it at the end of the day. So really fun experience. But out of these experiences, we were able to create a lot of research models that helped us figure out how researchers can start crafting these experiences for the future. So an example of a product is I built a demo for parents and kids being able to tell AI-powered stories. And we launched a demo called Animating Children's Drawings, where children can upload, or their parents can upload photos of characters that they've made. So here you can see I've uploaded a photo of a really silly drawing I've made. And AI will then help animate these drawings. Your character can jump, it can dance. What else can it do? It can be funny, things like that. And so this was an experience that came out of a design demo that then a research model was built around. We then took that experience and leveraging additional AI technology like SLAM, LiDAR, and machine learning models, we wanted to democratize that and bring it into people's phones and bring it to life in their environment. So we built this experience with Spark AR, where you can then pull these animated drawings into your camera on Instagram and be able to interact with some of these 3D objects in your space to democratize some of these experiences. Started experimenting with natural language processing. So how can we make creation simpler, where just by saying a few words, you can start building these constructive worlds in VR? And now finally to today, there's large language models that power the future of assistance and communication. Last year, we launched Meta AI. and also launched the ability for people to chat with really highly custom characters that have a lot of personalities, that have like these 3D embodiment videos. Learned a lot. It was an experiment. We're still learning a lot from it. And then just last week, I launched another product called AI Studio, where we enable everybody to be able to create their custom AI. So you can make a chef AI, you can make an AI that's similar to you that can respond on your behalf. You can make a pet AI that you can chat with, things like that. And so, when I think about everything that I've done in my career, I think about how the future is not really that ambiguous. Yes, it's very ambiguous. And yes, there's not a lot of answers to the questions of things we're trying to build. But there's a lot of patterns emerging in where the future is headed. And here's roughly, these are very hot, these are very like, I could probably do a deep dive on each one of these topics, but at a high level, here's like my hot take on where the future is headed. I think creativity is going to be democratized. Media is going to be fluid and immersive, from photo to video to games, all of that. They're going to be multimodal, so you're not just going to be writing all the time, you're going to be speaking and consuming audio and video. They're going to expand across devices, so AR, VR, mobile, web, all of that. And they're going to be hyper-personalized to you as an individual. And if we can take these principles, the future starts to become just a little more clear, and helps us as AI designers build better experiences. But also another question I get all the time is this future actually kind of scary and bleak? When you open the news, there's like, Elon Musk says AI will become smarter than humans, and jobs are being replaced by AI, and deep fakes are a part of the elections. And, it's just kind of like an endless stream of chaos, which is very, very fair. And someone here says the future will be great, which I quite agree with. But I understand where this concern is coming from, right? Galileo, Figma AI, a lot of you have probably seen, and UI Wizard, they're basically enabling these experiences where anyone can make designs with the click of a button. And as product designers, I've heard so many people be like, whoa, what is going to happen to my job? I think the narrative here is starting to change. And would love to hear from all of you on what you think about that. But experiences like Sora or Luma Labs that are also making visual imagery really beautiful and incredible for people to access. What happens to these experiences? And so, yes, it's true that AI will disrupt many industries, but as I'm starting to see a lot of people in the comments already kind of hint to this, it will not replace any jobs. Instead, it will shift the goalposts for what it takes to be successful. Someone says, future will be weird, so we need to be able to manage weirdness. I 100% agree with that. And to be a part of that weirdness, we need to understand as designers what it takes to be successful in this new world. One of the similar shifts that it reminds me of is web design to mobile design shift. And I think we find ourselves in another shift right now, which is traditional design to AI-powered design, so we can be ahead of this curve and understand what's happening. And so, like I said at the beginning of this talk, the need for a new type of designer is emerging, where the designer must learn how to design with AI, for AI, and beyond AI. So what do I mean by that? So let's get into it. Design with AI. There's a lot of courses and talks out there where people are teaching how you can use AI tools in your workflows, but I just kind of want to share with you what my take on it is. So there's a study that came out last year, and I'm sure this is really out of date and there's a better number out there, but the fact that engineers can complete coding tasks up to twice as fast with generative AI just shows us that this is going to happen the same way with design. And if we look at the skills that are required of a designer, I really do think visual design and interaction design are going to become much more faster for us as designers, so we can focus on the rest of our rule experiences and job responsibilities as a designer. I think a designer's main role is to get everyone to agree on one idea and then help execute and get that product out there and improve on that product. And so this makes me ask, how can we use AI to create clarity and alignment more efficiently with our stakeholders? So here's some of the ways I use AI in my process today. I'll leverage ChatGPT to brainstorm. Maybe I'll even make a custom AI using any of the existing products where you can brainstorm with hyper-personalized AIs that are meant to do this with you. Ryan says it already helps with tedious parts of UX research. That's very true. So you can use it for UXR. You can use it for brainstorming, like getting a quick start for your designs. Don't use these as your final designs. You can do so much better, but you can get started, right? And that's how it saves you time. And then I really think it can help a lot with storytelling. So you can visualize your audience, generate images for what your audience may look like, maybe bring them to life using 11 Labs, give them some voiceovers, help them tell their story. Maybe visualize them in user journeys, be able to like showcase what they look like and how they show up in these experiences. And then leverage some of these AI tools like Tome to create presentations and get a quick start on your framing on how you're going to convince people. And then if you're up for it, go beyond your ability as a designer. Maybe start coding that experience. Maybe use Claude artifacts to like prototype a little bit of that experience and share with your coworkers. So there's a lot that you can start doing with these tools that experiences provide. I'm seeing some comments. It's going to stream more work, but not replace. 100% agree. Until AI is collaborative, it will be difficult for larger audiences. That's true. And I think with Claude artifacts, it's a good example of something that's moving towards being more collaborative. At least that's the hope. And so to wrap up this experience, I do think being fast and efficient is actually a very core skill of a senior product designer, and AI can help you get there. And I really encourage everybody to lean into that. So the second part of designing with, for, beyond AI is designing for AI. So what do I mean by that? I personally believe that this is one of the most exciting times to be a designer, because we have the rare opportunity to define brand new interaction patterns and work through constraints in this unprecedented time. However, where we find ourselves today is that there's just chatbots everywhere. Like any website I open, there's like a chatbot integrated that has literally the same LLM backed behind it. And you're like, okay, like cool, like who do I chat with? Do I even need this here? And I'll be the first to admit I'm adding to this problem with some of the products that I'm building. But this is not the future. And this is why we need everyone's help in this room and outside of this room to help solve this problem. And so designing for AI means asking some of these fundamental questions. How can we find more natural ways to embed the value from these large language models so we can provide value to people? How do we replace prompt engineering? Like, why are we teaching people how to write the perfect prompt and reteaching people what fancy English means in order to like get the output that they want? There's a big cold start problem with these AI products. People don't know how to get started. What's a good pattern to solve that? Often AI hallucinates and it fails and it does some pretty crazy things that are offensive. How do we course correct when that happens? How do we educate what's human versus AI? How do we build products that specifically create that safe future? So there's a ton of opportunities and challenges for designers to address when it comes to building AI products. And I do a deep dive on this in my course, Become an AI Product Designer, which I'll chat about later. And then the last bucket of work is designing beyond AI. So one of the things I like to say about this time that we find ourselves in is that this is the era of democratized innovation. It means that as PMs can now start designing and designers can actually start coding. This means that our roles are becoming more fluid. And yes, other people can do your job, but you can also do other people's jobs. And so if you had the skills of an engineer, designer, animator, all available to you, what will you do? What will you enable in the world? What will you build? I'll give a couple of shout outs to people that I've seen kind of like lean into this. So Amar Reshi, he's head of design at 11 Labs, but he started his a few years ago just building all these small AI design projects, just kind of experimenting on his own and building like games or storybooks and things like that. And it's really helped him build some really cool projects that have been really cool to observe. Or if you look at both Galileo and Tome, these were products that were built from the ground up by product designers. And, now they've like built whole companies around that because they were able to solve problems that only they as product designers know how to solve. And so this makes me sort of wonder if designers who embrace AI by designing with, for, and beyond AI, when they start to create the next generation of products, I truly think that they'll be able to redefine the landscape. We will be able to redefine the landscape, but not just the landscape. I think we have an opportunity to influence and change the industry. So that's everything I had to share with you guys today. And I do go deeper on a lot of these topics in my course called Become an AI Product Designer, which is starting on August 26th. It's designed and built for product designers that are professionals and don't have a lot of time. And so I'll overview exactly what we're covering in this course. So the first week, we'll be learning about fundamentals of AI and ML from a design perspective. These are not things you can Google and just find. These are things that I've learned from my experience in the 5 years that I've designed AI product experiences. We'll have a live kickoff, a lot of pre-recorded lessons, because I know a lot of you have busy lives, you have full-time jobs, so do I, and a mini project. So these can all be consumed in your own time. In the second week, we'll go deep on what it means to designing AI-powered experiences. So these are the opportunities, the constraints, the interaction patterns that I mentioned. I'll have case studies of existing products. We'll discuss them together. We'll try to create new patterns. Again, pre-recorded lessons, a few live experiences that you could attend if you're available. If not, you can watch these recorded lessons afterwards. And then in the third week, we will take steps towards building your AI design career. So whether you're a design manager that's trying to build an AI design team, or whether you're a designer trying to either go into an AI product company or you find yourselves in one, we'll talk about what skills are design managers looking for in AI product designers. So I'm a design manager, but also have some other design managers from the industry come in and chat with us about what those experiences require from you as a designer. And lastly, and a few resources guides on how to continuously stay up to date in this ever evolving experience. So my goal here is to teach you everything I know, literally do a brain dump in a very cohesive and helpful way that I know about AI and product design, and hopefully be able to empower more people to enter this field. So again, the dates are August 26th onwards. If you're interested, there is a coupon for 25% off, AI Design 25. You can scan this QR code. I'm trying to keep this cohort really like sort of tight knit. And so we only have 14 spots left. So if you're interested, recommend you guys to sign up this week. And that's it. So we can go into Q&A. I was going to do a recap. Again, designers must learn to design with AI, for AI, beyond AI. And then if you want to learn how to design for AI, go into the deep dive in the course. So let's go into the Q&A. I will stop sharing my screen. I see there's some hands raised, and I would love to just sort of like, have a conversation here. So let's see, Mustafa, your hand is raised. Do you want to kick us off here? Oh, you're muted. You're muted. Oh, can you hear us?
Sorry about that. First, we should start with the designing Zoom, I think, for a better platform, but we'll leave that alone for another day. This was great. I just want to say thank you. I apologize. I raised my hand too soon. I got the wrong cue from your voice pattern, I guess, so I apologize if I distracted you, but this was great. One comment, one question. One comment to maybe for folks who are kind of thinking about this as a technology problem. I think AI has a human problem, not a problem rather, but humans have been really good at for 40,000 generations for sharing is caring, and they shared knowledge, learning, etc. And the minute that we can kind of bring more collaborative social experiences with AI, and even beyond the scope of just fun things, right? So that more maybe utilitarian things that multiple humans can learn from each other how to relate to AI. And I've had situations where I had mentors, very educated, very technologically savvy, but they used AI as a search engine. And it's not a search engine, it's an idea engine. It's an entirely different approach. And when somebody even says this, they're like, aha moment, right? Then it changes dramatically. So that's one thing that I'll say is like sharing is caring. And I think we need to keep sharing it. And as design is a very important part of this. So the question I have is, and as a startup of a serial entrepreneur, I'm working on my next startup right now. And one of the challenges, especially right now, I'm having as a visionary and innovator, I guess, is how do you not fall into the trap of I know what's better, like if Henry Ford quote, right? If people ask me what they want, they would say a faster horse, right? But he built cars. So I guess that's and I think that's a very limited and antiquated mode of view. So how can you get ahead so far ahead with AI tools, like you said, like it's like really flight so fancy you can actualize, imagine, and you can kind of like prototype, and then you have to then fall back to reality in a way. And how do you balance that?
Yeah,
If that makes sense.
great. No, it makes total sense. That's actually basically what my career has been like, where I have to craft time. The first problem is I do think everyone in this room and every designer has the ability to visualize that future, right? Even let's take this example you said of sharing is caring. Great principle. Let's say sharing is caring and you want to bring that to AI and you believe that's the future. I bet if you went off and started to build a prototype and a future around that, you could do that. But what's really hard actually is how to do that when you have a product to launch tomorrow that's more short-term based and craft time. And so the number one thing I would say is that you need design leaders or be the design leader that crafts time and space for people to be able to prototype these future experiences and inspire bolder visions. I do think 5-year North Star visions can be hit or miss. And so you want to make sure they're grounded in products that you are building today. But I do think that exercise is really worth getting people to think about the future, especially if you're working with research scientists. From my time working with research scientists, I find that a lot of the research scientists are focused on problems that they're just really excited about, but they're not really thinking about people problems. So the models are not being built specifically geared towards a people problem that a designer or researcher has uncovered because they're so much focused on how they can push the capabilities of tech. And so I think the pairing of a product designer with research scientists is a shift that needs to happen across all companies. And I think it is happening so that we can start to inspire some of these models and the directions that they're headed in as well.
Thank you.
Cool. All right. So we have a bunch of questions please feel free to raise your hand if you have a question that you'd like to ask in person. If not, I'm just going to pick one from the list here. Okay, so let's see. There's a question here from Aaron. Do any AI models accept set design as prompt for outputs, as in the output follows the set design? Aaron, if you're here, I'd love for you to elaborate on that question. It does seem like an interesting one, but would love some more context here.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Go for it.
Okay, how would you like me to elaborate? Because I'm not a designer, I'm a technician. But my understanding for the design part is that you'd have a set design where your brand style guide combined with certain ways of doing business. So the way the product would look, the way if I'm using the wrong term, please correct me. But I've seen them, and you can actually look at the books so that if I say this is a product from X organization, I can look at it and go, yeah, that's an Apple product.
I understand what you mean. So basically what you're talking about is the branding of that product and the visual sort of feeling of that product. How do prompts basically automatically carry that? The industry is heading towards that. There's this concept of being able to sort of like save prompts and style guides so that you can consistently generate images in that style. Writer is a great example of a company that enables, so what Writer is they're essentially sort of like a organization that leverages AI to power content design across companies. And so you can upload, let's say I like owned a company and I used Writer, I would upload examples of docs, emails, things like that our team writes, and Writer will understand and learn how our company's tone of voice is and how we like to write and communicate with people. And so then if I asked it to generate, let's say, a PRD or a social media campaign, it will always talk in the style that it learned from the experiences that I gave it. And that recipe sort of saving and understanding of like what that style is of this person or this company is a shift that we're gearing towards. What we don't have right now actually is the workflows and the consistent terminology and user experience on how people can enable that and use it. And I think that's basically the main shift that's going to happen over the next few months.
Thank you.
Okay, great. Let's see. Please raise your hand if you'd like to ask your question. I'm going to go through the questions. There's a lot of comments here, which is exciting. Cool. Okay, I see a question. What's the future of design beyond AI? What are we more curious about to learn these days? I will give this a shot. So what is the future of design beyond AI? It's a good question. I do think the future of design in general is just going to change. Let's imagine a future where everyone can just design and create experiences. A lot of the future becomes, let's say, creativity is democratized, which is really the goal, even personally, I'm sort of working towards, is how can we democratize creativity and enable everybody to bring their ideas to life. I think what that means is that everyone is going to be designing and creating at some point. And I do think the products that we end up consuming and building are going to vastly just differ from what we see today. We're going to see crazier cars, maybe better cars. We're going to see more interesting architecture. We're going to see more interesting patterns, just because our brain thinking is going to sort of like supercharge and new experiences will come out of that. So that's personally what I think is the future of design, is that we're going to see a lot of innovation in design itself, and we're going to see a lot more people entering this space. I do think design itself will never get replaced, like the need for design. That's just a very fundamental thing that will always exist. But who does it and what we do is going to change a little bit. So that's just my perspective. I don't know if your question was supposed to be that meta future, but I'd love to also hear from you if you're around to share your perspective on this. Let's see, any other questions? We're at time. I'm going to see if I can take one more question before we wrap up. Let's see. Anyone looking at AI agents as a user, especially with regards to Apple Intelligence? Ryan, you want to come on screen to share more of your thought here, and then I can see if I can give it a shot.
Yeah, it just sounds like where we're moving to with a lot of these operating system integrations is that we might have agents doing stuff on our behalf. And that feels like an important consideration in the design process of them doing the thing and then passing it along.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm personally thinking about this problem as well. And I'll be honest, I struggle with it a little bit because this idea of agents as users and just people amongst you is so crazy and foreign. At the same time, if you lean into it, you start to think about how they can provide a lot of value, like assistance and just like creative brainstorm buddies, or just like doing tasks that are mundane that I can't do. And if you give them a bit of a personality, and you sort of like give them that experience of being realistic, it can kind of enrich how you feel about it. I do think this is one of those experiences that I am not sure where it's going to go. And it's easier to just lean in and be like, let's experiment a bunch and see what sticks and what doesn't stick. And just from my experience of building AI agents that are more chat-based so far, we've already learned a lot. Like sometimes ideas feel like they're ahead of their time. They're like maybe a year to ahead. And sometimes, you know, because this idea of many agents in the world, I think, is a brand new one. People, I think, right now are just getting used to talking to one agent, which is ChatGPT. And to shift from one agent to many agents as users, I think is a shift that I'm personally curious on when that will happen. Is it going to happen in 6 months or a year or maybe even sooner? But it is coming. Great. All right. So I see there's more questions coming in. Please email me or maheensohail.com. That's where you can find all the information. But it was really, really great having you all here. We're going to wrap up this session. The session will be available live later on. Appreciate everyone dialing in, and it was great meeting you all. Bye.
Thank you, Maheen.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.